Hello and welcome to our Tech Talk. It's Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. Before we start with our presentation today, I would like to remind you of our town hall tomorrow, Wednesday, and the topic will be lighting. It's at 11 o'clock. It's an excellent presentation, so I encourage you to register if you haven't already. But I don't want to take more time from our presenter. I'm really thrilled to have Melissa Emery with us. She's our friend and has low vision. I don't want to say more and we'll leave it to Melissa to talk about herself. Please go ahead, Melissa.
Thank you, Tara. My name is Melissa, and I am a frequent flyer here at the Prevention of Blindness Society. And we recently had a Stark Arts support group where we talked about this topic of smart technologies at home. And it turns out that I'm a bit of an early adopter, a deeply in the ocean of smart tech. So Tara asked me to share with you some of what's out there that is great for low vision users and how it could help us. So a little bit about me. My computer science and engineering experiences have led me to be an early adopter of smart tech, but I also come from a family with a whole lot of low vision users, and some of whom are mobility impaired. So I am always on the lookout for solutions that will help with both low vision and mobility. I will be talking about several products and services as we go through, simply because I need an example to talk about, but I am in no way compensated for talking about them or using them. So this is completely unbiased and based on my own experiences. So let's dive in. So we talked about me. So what is smart tech? If you are completely new to this,
Melissa, we can't hear you.
All right, looks like she's frozen.
Yeah. Melissa, do you want to exit and rejoin?
how about now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Could you
You're
hear the
back.
introduction?
No.
Okay, then we'll
Yeah.
start again. It was because I hadn't accepted your recording.
No, we did hear your introduction when you introduced yourself.
Yeah,
Now,
okay.
the next
Yeah.
section we didn't hear.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's talk about what smart tech is. Smart technology is just electronic devices and systems that will connect to the internet or your local network, allowing you to control or automate and monitor them remotely. That's it. These devices often feature voice control, applications that go with them, and the ability to automate interactions with them through something called routines. It makes daily activities easier, more accessible, and that's especially true for people with low vision. There are many new categories of smart devices that have come to the market recently, and there are more coming all the time. Today are some of those devices and categories and how they might be useful for us as low vision users. And I will also share examples of how I use them in my own home and in the home of my mother and brother, who are also low vision and also mobility impaired. All right. So why do smart homes matter for us? First of all, it reduces your visual interaction requirements. You don't have to use a computer screen. Generally, you don't have to use written commands. It's audio, hands-free, audible commands from you and audible feedback rather than vision cues. So the automation also reduces your cognitive and physical load. For example, if I have a routine that is my wake up routine, I don't have to physically move where the light switch is. I don't have to blinds. I don't have to do any of multiple devices. And it's all within the control of voice or with automated scheduled activity. So that's why it's important. Let's talk about where to start, because if you're completely new to home automation and smart system, it can seem overwhelming. There's a whole lot of devices in this world. And this section will talk generally about the low-cost entry points for smart homes. First up, smart speakers. Smart speakers allow you to use voice automation. You'll need to speak to something in order to make that happen. Your smartphone can have apps like Amazon Alexa. Patrick, would you go turn off her speaker? My husband is here and I don't want her to hear her name. She will allow you to, she's the one who listens when you give an automated command. At home, typically, this is the way you interact with your system. Smart speakers are the central hubs for your system. They enable voice commands for controlling devices, accessing information, and setting up routines. For low vision users, smart speakers are invaluable as they eliminate the need for visual interfaces, offering spoken feedback for most activities. If you integrate smart speakers into your home, you may find you need more than one, because once you start using them, you want them close by. So one in the bedroom, perhaps, or one in the kitchen, or one in your office, so that they can hear you when you speak to them. So some examples, I personally use Amazon Alexa, but there are also others. There's Google Assistant and Apple Siri. I have recently upgraded from Amazon Alexa to Alexa Plus, which is free with an Amazon Prime subscription. And that features a much more conversational style and a context-aware kind of response. She can also proactively generate smart automation routines for you, and she can help you manage your world through AI content generation. So if you are one of those people who have a clash with the name Alexa in your home, and many people do, there are other names. And so with this particular model, you can change her name or her wake-up word from Alexa to things like computer or Ziggy or Echo. So that is a way to enable this in your home if you have a real live Alexa. So here are some examples of interactions I have had with Alexa. Alexa, this is me talking. Alexa, help me plan a dinner party for 4 for this weekend featuring spring produce. Focus on make-ahead recipes and minimize last-minute effort. So she pops up and she says, perfect timing for spring entertaining. I found recipes for, and then she lists some recipes that feature the best of spring produce, including that kale you just bought, because she knows I bought it at Whole Foods and she keeps track of that. They also fit with your new goal to eat a Mediterranean diet. Do you want me to send those recipes to your email? Yes, and add the ingredients for that kale recipe to my Whole Foods shopping cart. Got it, right? So it's that level. She's aware of the context that she's in, and she can carry on a conversation like that to really knock out a plan for you. Okay, so that's what a smart speaker is. Let's go on. Actually, the easiest way to start in your home is lighting. Super important, obviously, for us in the low vision community. And we have 2 different kinds of smart lighting. We have smart light bulbs, which have the smarts inside the bulb itself. We also have smart light fixtures like lamps, where the smarts are in the lamp and the bulb is typically built in. It's a typical LED feature, and you talk to the lamp device. So these are pretty easy. They are fairly inexpensive relative to light bulbs. They're not inexpensive, but they're inexpensive for a smart device. So You can also find something called dimmable lights, and so color changing lights. And so they allow you to change the color temperature from daylight to soft white to warm white. They also allow you to change colors. My brother, for example, prefers green colored lighting. And so we can make that happen. My mother does not like green lighting, and we can switch it back when she's up and about. So there are easy examples of doing this, but some of the things that I want to give you examples of are, we'll be talking about something called a routine. A routine is a written instruction that causes changes in one or more smart devices in response to a triggering event, time, or voice control. So, for example, when I say good morning, right? So it's the timing is based on hearing a phrase, then turn on the lights in the bedroom, right? So there are two things that I used there. First is a routine we talked about, and second is a group of things, the lights in the bedroom, right? So you can group items for easier interaction with them. You can group them into groups and call it a logical name. Names can be a bit tricky. I have a daylight routine that I use. It's triggered by the phrase daylight. And my Alexa friend often hears that as dim lights. And she starts turning the lights down all over the house. So it can be tricky to get the right name. You want a name that is meaningful for you, easy to say, doesn't clash with other names, and is just convenient. So we talked about routines, we talked about groups. Let's use some examples of lighting. So I have a front porch light. At sunset, it turns on. At sunrise, it turns off through a routine. I have another one. When motion is detected in the kitchen, turn on the kitchen lighting. When the front door is unlocked, turn on the entryway. Here's another. I have a routine for when I'm away from home and want it to look like someone is here. I call it the look like someone is home routine. And it is set up with delays between the commands that will turn a light on in the kitchen about the time I would normally cook dinner. And then a few minutes later, it will turn the lights off and turn the lights on in the living room. And it's so on until bedtime when it's moved up the stairs into the bedroom. So it looks like my normal lighting routine is happening from the outside. So here's another. This was new to me. I did not know this kind of trigger existed. When the game starts, turn on my TV. So the game can be the start of a game, like a sporting event, can be a trigger. It also knows when halftime happens, and it also knows when the end of the game happens. So here's another one that actually may be really important for us in the low vision community. You can set up a routine to automate your lighting to change colors from daylight to warm light as the day progresses. So start off the lighting with a nice bright daylight coloring, that bluish kind of color of lighting. And then midday, sort of change it towards soft white. And in the evening, change it to warm white. And that will give you more of a circadian rhythm following lighting color. All right, so that's lighting. Let's talk about switches and outlets. Okay, switches and outlets include your basic on-off and many other styles. These replace your traditional light switches on the wall, and they enable control by voice or app to give you on and off. But they also could give you dimming. They also could control a fan with fan and light built into the same switch. The fan, like if you have a ceiling fan with fan and light together. The ones that I have in my home are wired into the house. And so while I'm comfortable with poking around in electricity, some people may not be, but I have become aware of my friends who have installed wireless switches. So these are not wired. You take the old switch out, you cap off the wires that are in there, and you have a completely wireless battery operated kind of device. Now, an important thing to know is once you start hooking these things in, they're on the network, right? If your network goes down, what do? How do you turn the lights on? Well, you just go touch the switch. They're still able to turn on and off, even if you can't talk to the network to turn them on and off. So if you lose network connectivity frequently or on occasion, you can still turn them on and off, assuming your electricity is on. So smart outlets are a little modular device that plugs into a normal outlet. They let you plug a traditional device into making it a smart device. And so that strictly gives you on and off control. So for example, I could use it to plug my coffee pot into, and my coffee pot might not be smart. Maybe it is, but my coffee pot may not be smart, but I can say, Alexa, turn on my coffee pot. And what it's doing is turning on that outlet named coffee pot. So my coffee pot is now powered up. I could also set a delay routine. When it's turned on, 2 hours later, turn it off so it doesn't burn the coffee. There are quite a few other ways of working with this. Here are some examples for a switch. For example, when I turn on the fan in my bathroom, like after I've had a shower, I want to get the humidity out of there. Wait 20 minutes and then turn it back off, right? So I don't have to stay there and turn it off or remember to turn it off, but it gives it time to ventilate the room. All right, so let's go on. Television. So one of us in the house spends a tremendous amount of time watching television, and we have not fully explored the ways you can use voice to interact with smart TV, but you can. So you get full playback control by voice, voice navigation, and even accessible, obviously, as with anybody, you have audio descriptions of the content there. But you can make your TV, and this is why this is in the entry level section of our talk here. You can make your regular TV smart by adding a streaming device like a game console or an Amazon Fire Stick. You plug it right in and you are in business. For example, Alexa, continue watching The Diplomat on Netflix. Or Alexa, rewind 30 seconds. So these kinds of controls help us in ways that we might not know. Also, how about this? Alexa, show me action movies. So you can find the content you're looking for, and you can do it without using the tiny little buttons on a remote control. All right. So next up, environmental controls. The folks in the heating, air conditioning, and ventilation business have been controlling devices using controllers for decades, and they were quick to produce smart controls for these technologies. So we're talking about things like heaters, air conditioning, and ventilation systems. So hugely popular, smart thermostats. So you can adjust the temperature automatically on a schedule. For example, when you are waking up in the morning, or when you've left the house, or when you are ready to go to bed. In my case, my thermostat is smart, but it doesn't integrate with my Amazon friend. So I can't ask Alexa to adjust the thermostat for me. But what I can do is use an app that the provider has developed. So some sample automations. I can hold in vacation mode for the whole time I'm away, but have it automatically start back up when I am on the way home, so that it's a lovely, comfortable temperature when I get here. I can have it automatically manage between warm or heating and cool or air conditioning when the weather is unpredictable. So I can say, keep the house in the 70 to 73 degree temperature range and use whatever technology you need to do that, whether it's heat or air conditioning. I can also wake up in the middle of the night feeling sweltery hot and click on my phone and have it turn the air conditioner on without ever getting out of bed. So that is super valuable. All right, let's talk a minute about warmer temperatures and portable heaters. Portable heaters allow you to adjust the temperature in a smaller space. So, for example, the bathroom on my house is in an extension of the house. It's kind of exposed to more of the elements. It's colder in there. So we have a portable smart heater. Now, I will caution you, many of the heater models we've tried over the past several years have been recalled, fully refunded on them. However, the problem with them was that they would switch on without being told to switch on, and that can be bad. So we have one now that I really like. I will tell you that the ones that I started with were fan driven. So they were heating up coils and blowing across the coils. And what that does is it attracts dust to the coils and then it smells like something's burning. This is not a good thing. When you can't see exactly what's going on, that is not a positive experience. So we switched, and the last one we bought is a radiant heater. So there is some sort of liquid inside that heats up and heat just radiates from that. So there's no fan, no blowing, no noise, no nothing. Okay, so an example of how we use this is every morning at 7 a.m., the system turns on the bathroom heater to 75 degrees. Now, importantly, there's another routine that when the bathroom is switched off, it also turns off the bathroom heater. So we don't have a risk of leaving it on when nobody's in the room. All right, moving on. The other end of that, fans. If you're a little warm, you can have a fan blowing on you, and you can use voice and automation to replace those pull cords that nobody can ever tell the difference between which one is the light, which one is the fan. You can control whether it's a tower fan of some kind that sits on the floor, is portable, or is a fan that's ceiling mounted. And I mentioned again, there are specific switches like wall switches for fans that will control them in many ways, including the light, the fan, the speed of the fan, many aspects of that. So, for example, you could have a routine that turns on the fan in the bedroom at 11 p.m. You could also turn on the fan in the bedroom when the temperature in the bedroom is over 72 degrees. So there are quite a few ways that could make us more comfortable. And an example here is my mother and my brother simply cannot agree on whether the fan is on or whether the fan is off. And neither of them now has to get up. They can simply say, Alexa, turn the fan on. Alexa, turn the fan off. It is a day-long activity for them. All right, let's move on to appliances. Smart appliances are fairly new to the smart home market. Unfortunately, appliances don't always last as long as we would hope they would. However, when you replace an appliance, you have a chance to get a smart version. So let's talk about some examples. A smart washer and dryer. Well, they provide insight, integration, automation. Some smart washers and dryers do have voice control integrated with smart speakers. The GE model that I have does not do that. So I can control them with an app, and they have other features that would help me as a low vision user. They also could have tactile control labels. GE.
Melissa, your voice is breaking up.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
GE typically offers a kit of labels, whether they're tactile or braille or high contrast colors. And it is a kit of labels that is enough labels to cover your whole house, all of the appliances in your house. So I think it was $20 when we ordered it. Super helpful. So what do smart washers and dryers do for you? So for example, the smart washer has a detergent reservoir. It is a one-time pour the bottle in and then leave it. It is mess-free. You don't have to spill the detergent all over your hand when you misjudge how much to pour. You don't waste any because it ties the amount of detergent it dispenses to the description you've given it of how dirty the load is, whether it's heavy soil or light soil. It will also save you money because you're not wasting that detergent. Next thing it will do is tell you when the cycle is done. It will twirl and your Amazon device will say, your washer is done. So that reminds you, and then it will periodically go up with, you've left wet clothes in your water for 30 minutes. So the next thing is
I can hop off of this if you want to.
The next thing that you can do is link your water and dryer cycles together. So a one-time setting on your dryer and set to washer link. And that washer link will use the same settings used for your washer load. So that, for example, if you set delicates as your washer cycle, it will use a low dryer temperature and the appropriate amount of time to dry. It also uses some smart sensors to determine when the clothes are dry. So you're not wasting energy over drying. And finally, the apps that you can control these with will link you directly to troubleshooting and ordering of supplies for your washer. For example, if you want to order detergent through them, it will automate the ordering of your detergent. My friends have recently acquired a smart washer dryer combo that is a single device, not two separate devices. And they love that because you put the clothes in and then come back 2 or 3 hours later and the complete load is done. Now that might not be convenient if you have a lot of loads of clothes, but if you are doing one load and want it to be finished, then it's a one-stop shop. All right. Dishwashers. Now, dishwashers I wish were as smart as the washer and dryer are. And I wish they would collaborate with the people who have figured out how to put detergent in a reservoir. That is not the way these work. So you have to put an individual detergent portion in, and that's each time it runs. However, it will tell you when your rinse aid is low. It'll give you an alert for that. And you can schedule the operation. For example, we have an automated routine that at midnight turns on the dishwasher and runs its automatic cycle. You could also set details about how dirty the load is or what specific kind of load it is. Is it pots and pans? Is it lots of glass? You can set it to do that and it'll make it more efficient in its operation. And all of that is controllable through the app. So far, the devices that I have for dishwashing do not have voice control with them. All right. So there are other kitchen appliances. There are microwaves that talk to you about how much time is left on your cycle, what power setting you've chosen, etc. So that's just talking things. But you also have things like a kitchen scale, that can calculate the nutrition of a recipe that you've put in and determine the calories or nutrition in a portion size. There are also talking thermometers that will help you to determine if your food is at a safe temperature without having to see it. I'm throwing those in as examples of talking things, not necessarily smart, but if you're cooking, these are really cool things. The next thing is smart. We bought an induction cooktop for my mom, because she has had multiple accidents where she burned herself severely touching something hot on the stove when she didn't realize it was hot. So induction cooktops are not hot. They integrate with metallic pans that are magnetic, and they only heat those up. So the heat is not as risky or dangerous. There's also a visual cue, so the burner looks red when it's on. But this particular oven that we bought her, another GE product, also is a smart device, and it has the ability to interact through an app. You can program, cook it for 20 minutes at 300 and then reduce the temperature to, 275 to hold or whatever. Now, those are not the coolest of the kitchen appliances. The faucets in the kitchen are now really neat. I personally have a Moen faucet, and it gives me features that a normal faucet does not give me, that are super valuable in general, but especially when I'm not having the ability to see that tiny little label on a measuring cup. So, for example, if I am filling my favorite thermos cup, a 16-ounce cup, I can say, Alexa, ask Moen to dispense 16 ounces of water at 70 degrees. And it fills it right up to the lid of my cup with no overflow. It comes out every time exactly the amount that I needed and exactly the temperature that's comfortable for me. So the other thing that it can do, for example, if I am making a yeast dough and I need to proof the yeast, I can say, give me a cup of 105-degree water, and it will say, okay, here you go. And it will, when you wave your hand over it, it will dispense it. Now, speaking of waving your hand over, it's much cleaner. You don't have glommy bits of kitchen detritus on your faucet where you've handled it and can't see it. So it keeps everything cleaner in your kitchen. That is super helpful. All right, let's talk about the thing we don't have, the vacuum cleaner. Now, this is my personal opinion. Maybe you have one and you love it. But to me and for my family, we decided that a vacuum cleaner was a way to introduce a trip hazard into our home. We did not want this thing running around tripping people when they didn't know exactly where it was. So what they can do for you, they can map your floor plan. They can perform scheduled cleanings all without you having to do anything. They can recharge themselves and just keep your home nice and neat and tidy. I will say, blind household, lots of clutter ends up on the floor. Maybe you want it vacuumed up, maybe you don't, but it could be helpful for you. We just decided it wasn't helpful enough for us to have one. All right, moving on, let's talk about security and monitoring of your home. All right, the security industry has been in the business for a long time. They know how to do remote controls. They know how to do monitoring. But smart stuff gives us access to the kinds of things they've had, and now we have access to them directly in our own home. So door locks, first up, right? Door locks allow you to open and close the lock on a door in an automated way. So, for example, when I approach my home, my smartphone is detected by my network system, and it automatically unlocks the door for me. I don't have to fumble around for keys. I don't have to get the keys in the right place to get the door unlocked. I don't use keys anymore. I can also, and this is super handy, have it lock the door for me, whether it's after 2 or 3 minutes or some settable time, or I can also say, Alexa, lock my doors, and feel confident that every one of the doors is locked. Another thing that I can do is I can have guests given access to my home. I can say, I can give my handyman access to my home between the hours of 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Saturday, the 23rd, right? And that's the only time he can use that access. And he's no longer able to get in and out on other times, right? I can also grant and revoke time limited or long-term guest access. For example, I could have a house guest who's here for a week and I give them access to come and go. This will also give you a record of who has used the app to your home or used the smart lock to enter your home. All right, garage doors. Now, we didn't start out with a smart garage door, but we had gotten so deep into the smart world that smart garage was troubling us. So we called the manufacturer and said, do you have a way to make our garage door smart? And they said, well, of course we do. What it involved, there is a little port on the garage door opener itself, and you plug a little stick, a dongle provided by the garage door manufacturer, plug it in, connect it up, and you're in business. So what we cannot do is voice automate that one. We have a little less convenience with that. However, it will recognize that we are within a certain geographic location close to our home and prompt me to open the garage door. So it pops up with the app and says, do you want to open it or close it? It'll also tell me the state of the door. Is it opened? Is it partially opened? Is it closed? So the remote opening is also valuable. For example, if I've got an important package coming, I can partially open the door. It's that 5 or 6 inches of height at the bottom, where it's just open a bit. I can have the delivery person slide it under the garage door and I can close the door. So I have much more secure access, and I can use my camera, which is coming up next, to see that they've done that. All right, let's talk about cameras. Generally speaking, this is in the context of a smart doorbell or a smart camera on some other part of your home. And on the exterior, I'm not talking about interior cameras because that's kind of weird. But these can integrate with your smart speakers, can be checked by voice. The device family that I use is Ring for Ring doorbells and Ring cameras, but there are a lot of other options out there. So this will give you app control of what the camera is viewing. For example, I want to view my front yard, but I don't want to view people walking on the sidewalk because that happens all day and all night. I don't want to be alerted every time someone's on the sidewalk. But if they're actually in my yard, I want to know about that. I want to have that captured. So I can also have it jingle to alert me when the camera is detecting some sort of activity. I can also control when I don't want it to jingle and alert me, and for what. For example, we have a fox that...
Melissa, we lost you. Last word was fox.
Okay, how about now?
You're back.
Okay. We have the pet fox that will come and visit our front porch, which is in the camera's view, every morning at 3 a.m. And I don't want to know about that. I mean, capture it. Maybe he's cute. Maybe he's doing something destructive that I need to know about, but don't tell me and wake me up. So you can control that as well. Now, Ring recently added some artificial intelligence capabilities. For example, it would tell us there is an Amazon delivery person walking on your driveway with a large brown box. Or it would tell me something more specific. If I have told it to recognize people, certain people, it would tell me more specifically. For example, it might say, Brian is moving plants in the garden. So I can ignore those kinds of things. I don't need to know every time my brother goes out and moves plants in the garden. But it also might say something nice like, Mike is at the front door ringing the doorbell. So I can ignore the things I want, listen to the things I want. It will also keep me informed of what's going on in my immediate neighborhood. So if there's some sort of alert I need to know about, it will tell me. And I can control what those kinds of things are. There are other kinds of sensors, and these are basically things that give you more ways to trigger automation. For example, a motion sensor. When someone's walking on the path, turn the path lighting on. Leak sensors. When there's water detected leaking near my kitchen sink, alert me and tell me to call the plumber. When the humidity in the bathroom is over 40%, turn on the bathroom fan. So there are all kinds of ways that these can be used. But Alexa will use those generally as triggers. All right. So we're getting to the fun stuff, and then we'll move to questions after this. These are kinds of things that are outside. These are things that I have heard about or have used myself. First up is the bird feeder. This was new. I heard about this in the Stargarts group last week. With bird feeders, they are motion activated cameras with a full-on view of a bird as it feeds. Some of them have AI identification of the birds and can tell you what it is. Some of them have the ability to recognize non-birds or birds that you don't want to be using your feeder, and like things like squirrels that are attacking your bird feeder, and allow you to discourage them from being there, like playing an annoying noise. So on the benefit side, you get close-up videos that you can view and hear and share. So those are fun. Did not know about those. I might have to look into that. And next, this one is a lifesaver for us, an irrigation controller. So this is a way to water your plants. It controls the water flow to a drip irrigation system or some other kind of irrigation system, sprinklers or whatever. It gives you remote access so access. Give the water on a schedule. The one we have is made by a company called Beehive and is able to skip rainy days. It's able to skip days with a freeze warning. It can also accommodate watering restrictions so that you water only on the days you're allowed to. And it can deliver the appropriate amount of water for your plant types and your microclimate. So it is super powerful, and we never now have to ask a neighbor to water our plants for us. All right. So that is all I wanted to talk about. These are great tools and great capabilities for our community and low vision community. They give us autonomy. They give us reduced dependence on sight. They improve our safety, our comfort, and our convenience. And now, Tara, if you would, I am happy to talk about other people's experiences with these or answer any sort of questions.
Melissa, this was amazing. Honestly, I learned a lot as usual from you. And I'd like to let everyone know that Melissa has generously provided us with a document that explains all that she has mentioned today, and we will send it out with the recording either tomorrow or Thursday. If you have any questions or comments, can you please raise your hands? Or if it's easier for you, unmute yourselves for any questions you have for Melissa. Okay.
All right, I will tell you that the document I wrote is in large print format, and will allow you to hear everything I said or meant to say today in our presentation, and give you some details and background that you might not have been able to catch as I zoomed through.
I do have one question.
Go ahead.
Is there any smart Instapot, or is there any way to make an Instapot smart to use with the Echo device or an app?
We have here our super sleuth, Patrick, who will be looking that up for you as we continue with your question. I know that smart Instapot kind of devices, smart pressure cookers, can be controlled via app, but I'm having him look to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
While Patrick looks up the Instapot, Chato, would you like to go ahead?
That was a great presentation, Melissa. Thank you. This is
Thanks.
Chato Carter from Williamsburg, Virginia. My question is, and not even a question, my issue with smart gadgets is when the power goes off, you have to reset everything and have to rely on a sighted person to set it back up. That is my issue with all the smart gadget. I have Google Assistant. I have lighting. Hey, Google, when we enter the house, turn on sofa lights and all that. But boy, when the power goes off, my husband has to reset it all. I cannot do that myself. That's my only issue with smart stuff.
That would be awful, Chato. I do not have that experience with my Amazon friend. With Alexa, when the power goes off, we might check that the power's off or that the internet is off if it's just internet. But when it comes back on, it's back on. There's no resetting for us. And I haven't had that experience.
Oh, it's for my husband says it's the smart plugs that we have to reset. Yeah.
I don't have that experience. I have smart plugs all over my house, and I don't have.
Doesn't have that. Okay.
I don't have that.
That's my issue with ours. So now I'm weary to. I'm like, I hesitate to put everything else on a smart app because if nobody's around, then I'm stuck, right? But you said, you said, at least the switches, if it doesn't work, then you can still turn it on and off, right? So
right.
That's fine. But everything else, it's like, okay, I hesitate because I can still see a little bit, but once things.
Well, that is not my experience, and I'm not sure why that model would do that. I mean, it seems like kind of an awful feature for a model. Meanwhile, Super Sleuth Patrick has discovered an answer to our first question. Wi-Fi integration for a smart Instapot, like the Pro Plus, is through the Instant Brands Connect app, allowing user to remotely monitor cooking, receive notifications, and access thousands of guided recipes. So yes, they're connected.
Great. Until we have another question, or the 703, did you get your answer? I don't know your name, sorry.
Tina?
Hi.
We have Harry. Okay.
We have Apple devices, and it seems to me as though the ones that you have been talking about have been way ahead of anything that Siri can do.
Oh my. Well, I'm glad I picked the Forerunner. We just picked something convenient to us, and we are lucky that it's working out.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone?
Tara, this is Liz Savage. Is there a specific brand of the kitchen scale you mentioned?
Well, Super Sleuth Patrick is on the case. He's going to go look. And I think it's V-Sync is the name of it. VSYNC, I think that's the name. And they will do lots of cool stuff. They have an app where you can add in, like I'm adding in peanut butter now, and now I'm adding in banana or whatever you're adding to your recipe, and it will calculate the serving size per gram or per serving.
Thank
Super
you.
handy.
One question.
Go
Sure.
ahead.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Was helpful. I learned a lot. One question I have is, what did he say if we can get a written report or a voice or a video of the presentation?
You will get the recording and a document as well.
In
So
an email?
we will send it out to everyone.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Janice, go ahead.
I wanted to mention that I too have smart plugs and have echo routines. And if the power goes out, there's no resetting. When it comes back on, everything's set as it was.
The Alexa Plus upgrade, you can try to ask
And
her.
I have not. I did upgrade to Alexa Plus, and I didn't like it, and I went back to the regular Alexa. So that resetting occurs even without Alexa Plus.
So that's an interesting comment. Patrick was just reminding me of Alexa Plus and some of its capabilities. She can help you troubleshoot, and you can have like a conversation about walking through the steps of troubleshooting if you're having trouble with things. It took us a minute to get used to Alexa Plus. We did not choose. We were on vacation and suddenly we had it when we came home. But my mother and brother have multiple devices, and it's common, as I said, to have multiple speakers in your home so that wherever you are, you can talk to it. The one in my mother's room has Alexa Plus, but all the others are just Alexa. And so she thinks that hers is just really friendly because it'll chat with her, but that's just normal for the device.
Any questions? Until somebody else asks, I'd like to ask about the Alexa and the TV.
Okay.
Can it, like if you tell it to go to NBC or ABC, does it do that?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a routine that I use. For example, when I want to start my workout. So turn on the lights in the gym, which is just a basement with a treadmill in it. Turn on the lights in the gym, turn on the gym TV, and turn on the iFit app, which I use to provide videos that go along with my walking. Now, by the way, if I had the right kind of treadmill, iFit would control the operation of the treadmill, changing the speed and incline for me to match the video that I'm watching. So that's another smart thing. Totally forgot about mentioning that because we don't use it. But it will turn that on and bring up the app for me, just like it would bring up NBC or CBS or Netflix or whatever.
So it's like a talking remote control for people who cannot see the remote control, which is a problem for many of us.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions, comments, Chato?
Yes. And I'm not sure if Melissa would be able to help out, but maybe others on the call would be able to address this. I have YouTube TV before I had the regular cable, and the remote control has the Contour app or option, and we are able to say turn on audio description, right? And so if, for example, I want to watch a network show or a PBS show, then if that show has the audio description capability, it will automatically do that, right? But now that I have YouTube TV, for some reason, I even if I'm watching, let's say, NCIS, which has an audio description capability, if it's a regular cable, for some reason it doesn't work with my smart TV. Does Alexa work with that, Melissa?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with controlling through the cable side of things because
No,
my
it's
smart.
not. Yeah, it's not. So now it's not cable. It's streaming, YouTube TV. Yeah, it's too complicated for me.
Yeah, sorry, Chato. Actually, because the time is running out, Sandy, I think it will be the last question.
Okay.
Because Melissa has to go before 2.
Okay.
Sandy, I saw that you have unmuted yourself.
Okay, so just a really, and this is sort of silly, what kind of price ranges are some, like from the the smaller sounding things like the switches to the bigger things like washer dryer, but maybe not the absolute cost of the washer dryer, but what's the additional cost perhaps, just to give me a sense. I don't have any smart devices. Do I want to jump in?
Super Sleuth is on this. So for example, you can get a set of 4 Casa Smart outlet plugs for $25. You can get, let's see. You can get a Casa light switch for $31. It's a 3-way switch. So for example, if you have 2 connected switches. And again, there are new kinds out there that don't have to be. Casa is just the kind we happen to have, but there are new kinds that are battery operated and are not wired in. So they don't have to be connected, and they may have a different price range. Certainly easier to install.
Mm-hmm.
So a typical switch at the hardware store, it's going to be 1/10 of that cost. But it's not in the $1,000 range like a washer and dryer set is.
John, if you could make it short, I think. John, you have a question?
No, I have a comment.
Okay.
I have something called a LiftMaster garage door opener.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really smart. For one thing, it'll turn on lights in the house, and it will close the garage door after a set period of time. If you drive off and forget it, it'll close it for you. And it'll also tell you if the door is open or closed, and allow you to close it from inside the house if it's open.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a game changer. When we figured out we could smarten up our garage door, it really rounded out our system.
And another thing I like about it is it has a lock on the track so that somebody can't jimmy the door open.
Nice.
Thank you, John. Janice, one last comment before.
Thank you. Melissa, your Ring camera, is it hardwired or battery? Because I found that a lot of the delivery people, they're using the jammers. So I don't hear when they leave things on the porch because ours is battery operated.
Well, it stinkers. That's a terrible thing to do. Ours is hardwired simply because we already physically had
the doorbell. Is the
right. The doorbell is hardwired. We physically had a place where the doorbell was, and we wired it in with the new thing. Now, the cameras that we have in the back of the house that are not doorbell cameras are solar powered, and yeah, with batteries. We have not seen them have any issue with jamming, but then again, nobody delivers to the back door. I have seen delivery people try to avoid the cameras of my family's house, but we catch them because we've got the cameras on the door and on the front door as well, the garage and the front door. Now, I will also say the reason we installed the cameras there was not for visual access. There was a concern that someone might wander away from the home, and then we would be able to know when did they leave, what direction were they going, what were they wearing. And so that was the real driver for us. But it also allows my mom to say, Alexa, while she's watching TV, Alexa, show me the front door. and she
Mm-hmm.
can see
Mm-hmm.
on a large screen TV what's happening at her front door.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks.
Sure.
Melissa, I know you have to go at 2 and it's 2 o'clock. We really appreciate your presentation and all what you have put into it and your artwork with the AI. The pictures were amazing.
Well, thanks.
And as I mentioned, you will get the document and the presentation, hopefully, if not tomorrow afternoon, by Thursday. Thank you all again for joining us. And thank you, Melissa and Patrick, for
Thanks, everybody.
everything. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.